Hello, I am Rachel and this is Lunabird Book Club. Now I am surrounded by books today and I'm also by myself. This is my TBR. Cathy is on holiday and I thought I would use this opportunity to talk you through what I do have on my TBR. So I'm just going to sort them into piles of when I got them, why I got them maybe, and then we'll have a look at what we've got in here. Okay, we've cleared out the pile of books. It's just me on the sofa now. I've split them into what I think are when I bought them, to the best of my recollection. This first pile is books that I am borrowing from other people. I do intend to give them back when I've read them, but I have had a couple of them for multiple years. The first one is The 13th Tale by Diane Setterfield. Cathy has spoken about this on the channel before. This is actually Cathy's copy, and once I have finished it, I'm really not very far into it at all. We will be discussing it because this is one of Cathy's favourite books. The next one is Matt Chandler, Take Heart. This is a Christian book about living in the age of unbelief. This belongs to a family friend and I've had it for maybe 4 years, maybe longer, and I haven't read any of it yet. So I'm sorry, Beth, you will get it back eventually. The next one in this pile, the last one in this pile, is The Familiars by Stacey Halls. This is actually set nearby to where we live at Lunabird. This belongs to my best friend. She got this when it came out, read it, gave it to me. I think I read about half of it and then started reading something else and never came back to it. So I would need to start it again at the beginning and then give it back to Helen. The next pile is books that have been given to me by other people, but they're mine to keep. They're hand-me-down books and I'm very grateful to be given them. So the first 6, one of our dear friends at church moved to Cornwall earlier this year and was downsizing her library. So she gave me 6 Faye Weldon books. Now Faye Weldon is a feminist writer, so that's why she gave me them. We have Wicked Women, The Hearts and Lives of Men, The Heart of the Country, Worst Fears, Down Among the Women, and Puffball. I've flicked through a couple of them, but I haven't properly sat down to read them yet, but I will get to it one day. The next 2 are Charlotte Bronte's Jane Eyre and Charles Dickens' Hard Times. These were given to me by someone who had just done a literature course and didn't need them anymore. And these next 4 are someone who was doing an English literature degree that I went to uni with, and when she finished her second year, she didn't want these anymore, so I took them off her hands. We've got 1984 by George Orwell, Playing in the Light by Zoe Wickham, Madame Bovary by Gustave Flaubert. I'm really sorry if I'm messing up these author pronunciations, by the way. I'm very ignorant of everything. And Moxieland by Lauren Bukes. I think Violet actually gave me 5 books, and I have read one of them, but not these other 4. And the last one in this pile is The Historian by Elizabeth Kostova. Now, really, this should go in the first pile, but this was given to me to borrow by someone that used to come into the place where I worked. And then I moved jobs and haven't seen them since. So I think this is just mine to keep forever now. This next pile is books that were gifts. So these books were bought for me by people, and I'm so grateful every time someone buys me a book. I feel very seen every time someone buys me a book because they know that I love reading. But I'm just really bad at actually reading, it turns out. So the first one in this pile is This Is How We Come Back Stronger. This is a series of feminist essays about living in a world of crisis. This was bought for me by my best friend for my birthday last year, and I am very grateful for it. I really like the colour of it, and I will read it all one day. The next one is I Was Dead for 13 Minutes, Now I Want to Know Why by Sarah Pinborough. This was a mystery book that 2 of my best friends bought me for my birthday this year. I don't think it's a book that any of the 3 of us would have actually chosen, but I want to give it a chance and actually feedback on whether the mystery was worth it. Thanks Palestowski for that one. The next one is The Eagle of the Ninth Chronicles by Rosemary Sutcliffe. This was bought for me by a family friend of one of my ex-partners, and this will have been, I don't know, 6 or 7 years ago. I've never read it. I Thought There Would Be Cake by Catherine Welby Roberts. This is, I think it's a mental health book written by the daughter of Justin Welby, and my mother got me this. Thanks, Babs. The next one is Close Encounters of the Third Kind by Tom Cox. This is like a memoir autobiographical book about a guy and his cat that my best friend bought me. I have read some of this, but I've never sat down and read it all the way through. The next one is Amitav Ghosh's Hungry Tide, The Hungry Tide. This was bought for me by one of my friends who I'm in a book club with. So me and two other friends had an idea to start a book club. We all bought the other two a copy of a book that we wanted to read. I read the other book that I was sent, but I've never got around to reading this one. I'm really sorry, Violet. One day we will maybe talk about it. The Guardian by Nicholas Sparks. This was a gift from a friend when I was in high school, which is like at least 10 years ago, maybe even 11 or 12. When I got this book, she bought me other books as well that I have read, but I think I read about half of it, and then, you know, I've always been a fantasy girl. I just wasn't in the mood for it, but I've always kept it because I am like, I do want to read this book that Amy got me, and one day I will, and then I'll message her and be like, thanks for the book, Amy. And then she'll reply and be like, Rachel, I haven't heard from you in like 10 years. What a nice surprise. The next one is Dodie, Secrets for the Mad. This is another book kind of about mental health, I suppose, that my mum got me. This next pile is books I've had since I was in primary school, for definite. Like, I know that these predated me going to high school. So we'll just go through them. The Little White Horse by Elizabeth Gouge. This was a gift from my parents one Christmas, I think, and I don't think I've ever opened it. So, sorry, Mum and Dad. I had better things to read. The Hound of the Baskervilles by Arthur Conan Doyle. I've never actually read any Sherlock Holmes. This was my, I think, either year 5 or year 6 Christmas present from my school when I was at primary school. They were going to get me The Secret Garden by Frances Hodgson Burnett, but my mum, who worked at the school, told them that I already had it, so I got a different one instead, and I've read neither of these. The Wizard of Oz by L. Frank. Maybe I have read this. I might have read this. I'm not sure. But I've had it since I was a kid. It belongs in the TBR. The Children of the New Forest. I bought this one family holiday. We used to camp a lot as kids, and we were in, I don't know, Winchester maybe. We went to a bookshop. I bought this book and a little drawing notepad that had like sketches based on Sam's contributions to the book in Lord of the Rings. And I remember this has a bookmark in it. I got to page 28 of this book, and there's a little bookmark for somewhere in wherever this is. Wiltshire. Wow. I read 28 pages of this book in a tent and then didn't read any more of it. But, you know, I did actually do a cull of my TBR a couple of years ago, and I got rid of some books that I knew I was never going to read, and clearly these books made the cut for some unknown reason. This pile is books that were after primary school but before uni, so any time between age 12 and 18 is when I bought these books. The Silmarillion by Tolkien, Tracy Chevalier, The Last Runaway, Empire of the Deep, The Rise and Fall of the British Navy by Ben Wilson. I remember buying this. I bought this the summer before I went to university from a bookshop in Burnley, and I think I might have read the first part, and then, you know, I just find non-fiction really hard. Maybe that's a commitment I don't want to make. When We Were Orphans by Kazuo Ishiguro. I bought this after I had read Never Let Me Go, which I read after I had watched the film Never Let Me Go when it came out, which was, I don't know, maybe 10 years ago, maybe? Not sure. The Book Thief by Marcus Zuzak. I bought this when there was a lot of hype about it, just before the film came out. Is there a film of this? I don't know, I haven't seen it if there is. I know lots of people were reading it at school, and I bought it, and again, I've never opened it. Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, trilogy of 4 by Douglas Adams. Now, I have definitely read the first 2 in this. I can't remember if I've read the 3rd one or not, but I definitely haven't read the 4th one. And I feel like it's been so long since I read any of them that I would need to reread 1, 2 and 3 to get the proper oomph out of the whole story. The next pile I definitely bought while I was at uni. I'm not sure about some of the others, which is why they're not in this pile, but these are definite uni purchases. So there was this little shop in the town where I lived for uni that sold budget books that were damaged or were excess copies that sellers wanted to get rid of. So we would go there as a group and just like look at all the cheap books and sometimes buy some of them. So there's The Two of Us by Andy Jones. There's The Gods of Atlantis by David Gibbons. For example, this book is missing the bottom of the back. It doesn't remove any of the actual story content, but I imagine I got this for a bargain. Val McDermid, A Darker Domain. I've never read any of Val McDermid's crime novels. I think this might be the second in a series, which is why I haven't read it, but don't quote me on that. I am going to tell you the story behind buying this selected poetry collection by E.E. Cummings. So as a teenager, I read a lot of fan fiction, and there was this one fan fiction where the main character's favourite poet was E.E. Cummings, and they would like give poems to their love interest. And I bought this so that I could read some of them, and I never read any of them. Neil Gaiman, Neverwhere. Neil Gaiman? Don't know how you say his name. Sorry, Neil. I bought that after I'd read Stardust, because I read Stardust because of the film, because that's a great film. And I liked Stardust. I liked Coraline, so I bought Neverwhere. David Eddings, The Diamond Throne. I bought this after I had finished The Wheel of Time, because I wanted to broaden my fantasy reading arsenal, because I felt like it was very narrow, and it's still quite narrow to be honest, but the intent was there. Wilfred Owen, Anthem for Doomed Youth, and Emily Bronte's The Night is Darkening Around Me. I bought these at the same time as E.E. Cummings because I wanted to read more poetry. I got them both when Penguin Classics were still 80p. Yeah, I haven't read either of them. I did buy a couple other classics, little classics at the time, which I have read, but those ones I haven't. And last one in this pile, The History of the Peloponnesian War by Thucydides. Now, I studied classics at A-level, and this is one of the textbooks that this is one of the books that we read. But we didn't read all of it, and I wanted, when I saw a copy of it in a secondhand bookshop, I was like, hey, I want to read more of that in my spare time. And again, I haven't opened it. We're now into my post-uni collection. I'm not 100% sure on when I bought these, so they're all kind of just like lumped together until we get more recent, and then I've got a different pile. So I'm just going to talk you through them. The Keeper of Lost Things by Ruth Hogan. The Sun is Also a Star by Nicola Yoon. The Fire Court by Andrew Taylor. The Island by Victoria Hislop. Strange the Dreamer by Laini Taylor. A lot of these I don't remember when or why I bought them. I know that I bought this one because I just read the trilogy that Laini Taylor had written. Can't remember what it's called at this point in time, but I wanted to read more of their writing and never did. George R.R. Martin's Night of the Seven Kingdoms. The 100-Year-Old Man Who Climbed Out of a Window and Disappeared by Jonas Jonasson. Sorry, Jonas, I forgot to say your name. Victor Hugo's Les Mis. I have always been a massive fan of Les Mis the musical, and when the BBC TV show was announced, I wanted to read the brick so that I could compare how well it handled the story, since Andrew Davis was like, this is going to be the most faithful Les Mis adaptation there's ever been. And I started reading it, and there's a bookmark in it. I never finished it. I got to there. Can you see that? I think I just met the ABC Cafe gang, and I don't know, I think I got sad maybe and stopped, or maybe the TV show come out and I was like, for another time. Six of Crows by Leigh Bardugo. I bought this ages ago, and then never read it, and then I watched Shadow and Bone last year and thought I should probably get around to reading that, and still haven't. Stephanie Garber's Caraval. Puck of Puck's Hill by Rudyard Kipling. I'm going to bring these onto my lap. There's less of them now, so it's okay. The Shock of the Fall by Nathan Filer. I definitely started... Is there a bookmark in this one? There's no bookmark in this one. I definitely started this. This is about a boy whose brother dies, and it's his fault, maybe? I didn't get rid of it, though. I started it and paused halfway through. A Wizard of Earthsea by Ursula K. Le Guin. I got this because I was wanting to read more female voices in fantasy, and clearly I followed through on that. Daughter of the Forest by Juliette Marillier. Same reason as why I bought Wizard of Earthsea. In fact, I think I bought them at the same time. Haven't read either of them yet. This is a chunky book, guys. Lies of Loch Lamora by Scott Lynch. I bought this at the same time as those last two. just because I knew it was a big fantasy name series, but again, I haven't read it and I don't know if I will. The Song Rising by Samantha Shannon. I think I pre-ordered this book actually because I read the first two of the Bone Season series because one of my friends in high school recommended them to me, and she has impeccable taste in literature. I haven't read this. I think there's now a fourth and a fifth one out, so I should probably get round to reading this and then maybe buy the fourth and fifth one. Highland Myths and Legends by George W. Macpherson. I bought this when I was on holiday to some Scottish islands. I went to the Isle of Islay and I got this from a little independent bookshop there. Gingerbread by Robert Dinsdale. I've read some of the Robert Dinsdale's other novels and I absolutely love his writing. He's a really good writer. And I just haven't got around to reading this one yet. It has chocolate on the front and back of it. This is from My Friend is a Baker, and I took some artsy photos using this because it was called Gingerbread of the baking, and then on the back that's hot chocolate because I was going to send this to one of my friends for Christmas, and then as I was about to put it in the envelope I spilled hot chocolate all over it, so I couldn't actually send it to him. Tales from the Perilous Realm by Tolkien. Circe by Madeline Miller. I got this because of the hype around it. I haven't read it. The Letters of Vincent van Gogh. I have been reading this book for about 3 years. But I'm determined to finish it. Determined. Gone Girl by Gillian Flynn. I have started this book in the past, and then I don't think I read any of it for about 4 years, so I took the bookmark out because I would definitely need to start this again. I got this after the film came out. Rosamund Pike. Probably because of the film. Dagger Spell by Catherine Kerr. This is another book that I bought because I wanted to buy more female voices in fantasy. Last one in this pile, Paula Hawkins, The Girl on the Train. I got this before the movie came out. We're now onto my lockdown books. These are books that I think I got in 2020 or 2021. This is a sizable pile, I think. The Secret History by Donna Tartt. This was recommended to me by a friend, but I haven't read it yet. Sally Thorne's Second First Impressions. You all know that I love The Hating Game, and I did like 99% Mine, and I got this because, you know, Sally Thorne's just a good writer in my opinion. I think I got this when it came out, but I haven't read it yet, and I haven't got her fourth book, if that has been released yet. Anne McCaffrey and Margaret Ball's A Corner, The Unicorn Girl. This is a sci-fi novel. I'm actually quite excited to read this one, even though I've had it for 2 or 3 years and haven't read it yet. Good Omens by Pratchett and Gaiman. I think I bought this because of the show, so actually this should have been in the last pile. This is from post-uni pile. Sapiens by Yuval Noah Harari. I got this because I was wanting to read more non-fiction, and it seemed like a broad topic to look at. But I haven't read it yet. Women, Race and Class by Angela Y. Davis. Oh, and The Odyssey, Emily Wilson's translation of Homer's Odyssey. These are both books that I bought off the recommendation of a podcast that talks about Wheel of Time. I also bought a couple of other books based on that podcast's recommendations, and I have read those other books, but I haven't read these two yet. Hamnet by Maggie O'Farrell. I've never read Maggie O'Farrell's writings, but I know that she's very popular. I bought this because I was checking out from Waterstones when this was released, and it was like, hey, do you want to buy this book? And I said, yes. We Hunt the Flame by Hafsa Faisal. I saw this on an Instagram reel, I think, from Faisal's Instagram account, and I just thought it sounded cool, so I bought it. Alana and the Song of the Lioness by Tamora Pierce. I've never read any Tamora Pierce. I know that she's a popular author in fantasy genre, and I just wanted to give her a try. Jinx by Abigail Parry. This is a poetry book. I actually bought this as a gift for a friend, and then when it came, decided that I wanted to keep it, so I bought them something else instead. Arcanum Unbounded by Brandon Sanderson. Now, I actually bought the first Mistborn novel before I started reading Wheel of Time, which was like 2013, 2014. But I never actually read it until lockdown. Then once I read Mistborn, I read the Stormlight Archive. Because I had nothing else to do because we were in lockdown. So after I'd finished Words of Radiance, I got this because I wanted to read Edge Dancer and learn more about Lift. I've read some of the stories of the Cosmere systems that I have read. I haven't read all of them, but I think I have now read all of the Cosmere novels, so I'm free to read any of this, I suppose, and then I can actually mark it off my TBR. Oh, there are 3 Austen novels here. Maybe these should have been in the other pile as well, actually. Whenever Sanditon, the TV show, came out, I watched Sanditon and I was like, oh my gosh, I need to know what happens. I googled it. I was like, wait, she never finished this book. So I bought Lady Susan, the Watsons and Sanditon to like get more of that world. And then I thought, the only Austen book that I've ever read is Pride and Prejudice, and I don't know, it feels a bit weird to call myself a bookworm and not have read any more Austen, so I got Emma and Sense and Sensibility as well to mark them off my list, and this was 3 or 4 years ago and I haven't done that. Okay, we have 2 piles left. These are books that I have bought in the past 2 years, 18 months. Bare Mouth by Liz Hyder. I got this from a secondhand bookshop in London, and I think this is actually a children's book, but you know, sometimes it's good to read children's books. So yeah, it looks intriguing, which is why I picked it out. Oh, there's a little dynamite on the spine. This one I also got from that same secondhand bookshop in London. It's Selected Writings by Aristotle. The Romanovs by Simon Sebag Montefiore. In lockdown, I was listening to a lot of musicals over and over again, and one of those musicals was Anastasia. And Anastasia the musical, obviously it takes some of the songs from Anastasia the animated movie, but they try to make it a bit more of a realistic story, so there's no magical bats or anything like that. And I wanted to see how it had changed from the actual historical events. So I bought a big book about the Romanovs. Drive Your Plough Over the Bones of the Dead. Yep. This was recommended to me by a friend, and then I completely forgot about it. I had it in a note on my phone, and then it came to the Lowry, the theatre in Manchester, but it was only a very limited run, and I couldn't actually get over on any of the performance times because I was so busy at that time. And then I saw it in a bookshop, and I thought, hey, I remember that was recommended to me, so I bought it. Ooh, is that gonna fall? I'm gonna put it behind. We by Yevgeny Zamyatin. This is a piece of Russian literature that people say was like, this is like the original sci-fi story that Orwell got inspiration for 1984 from. Will be interesting to read. The House in the Cerulean Sea by T.J. Klune. I haven't read any of Klune's writings, but every time I see one of their books, I'm just like, wow, that is such a pretty cover. Look at it, it's gorgeous, and it sounds like such a sweet story. It sounds like a story that's going to make me cry. So I am excited to read that one when I eventually get around to it. The Little Paris Bookshop by Nina George. I joined an online book club, and this was the book that we were meant to be discussing, and then I bought the book and I didn't read the book, so I didn't go to the meeting talking about the book, and then I didn't do anything with the book club ever again. So maybe I should read this and then like see what their next monthly book is about, and then I can actually join in the discussion. Ursula K. Le Guin's Space Crone. This is a book of Le Guin's writings about feminism and activism and on gender and all that kind of stuff, and it just, I mean, A, purple, great. B, feminism, activism, gender, great. C, broadens my non-fiction repertoire. What's not to love? Venus and Aphrodite, History of a Goddess by Bethany Hughes. I got this from a bookshop when I was on a holiday with my parents, and I haven't read it. Rory Clement's The Queen's Man. This is the first in a series of Shakespearean era mystery novels, I think. This was recommended to me by a colleague at work who I had told to read The Wheel of Time, and he said, okay, I'll give it a try. You should read this. So I said, okay, I'll give it a try. And I bought it and haven't read it. Although I don't think he's read Wheel of Time yet either, so I don't feel too guilty about that. Last book in this pile is Daughter of the Moon Goddess by Su Lin Tan. This is a reimagining of some Chinese mythology and legends. I bought this at the beginning of February 2022 because in January of 2022 I had met my reading goal for the month and thought, hey, you know what you deserve, Rachel? To buy more books. So I think I bought 5 books, and I have read the other 4 in that group, but I haven't read this one yet, even though it looked like some of these books are just so beautiful. Oh, I love the colours in it. We're on to our last pile. This is books that I have for sure 100% bought in 2023. Some of the ones from the last pile might have been that as well, but these ones are for definite. I definitely remember buying them in 2023. At the top, I have 2 books that I bought at the start of the year. We have Harold the Ninth. I bought this because I just finished Gideon the Ninth, and I was like, yes, I need to know what happens next. Terry Pratchett, The Colour of Magic. I bought this at the recommendation of a friend so that I could speak to them about my reactions to it, because I've never read any Pratchett and apparently I should have. Put that one to last. A Gentleman in Moscow by Amor Towles. I bought this over the summer when I was visiting my friends in London. They have lots of cute independent bookshops near their house, so we always have a little fun trip there every time I'm down, and I always end up buying a book. So I got Amor Towles' A Gentleman in Moscow. This was actually recommended to me by a friend, and I'm excited to share my thoughts with them about it. We also have Kyung Suk Shin's Please Look After Mother. This is a translated piece of Korean fiction. I also got this from an independent bookshop in London, but a different independent bookshop in London. It just called out to me. The cover looks really interesting and it sounds really interesting. It's about a mother who goes missing in a train station and how her family deal with that. We have come to the final book on my TBR that I'm going to share with you. This is the most recent purchase that I have made. I bought it from a little independent bookshop in Portsmouth when I was visiting a friend and I was waiting for him to finish work. It's Devotion by Hannah Kent. I've never read any of Hannah Kent's novels before, but apparently they are very good. This is a beautiful cover and it sounds like a beautiful story about how love can survive when 2 girls and their communities travel to Australia. So yeah, that's everything on my TBR. I do actually have a lot of play scripts that I suppose you could count, but I'm not going to. So if you have any comments about any of the books that I've read, what you think I should put to the top of my list, what you think I should not bother reading, leave them down below. Give us a like and a subscribe. We release videos every Friday. Thank you for watching. Hello, I'm Rachel and this is Luna Bird Book, but I am still in Casa Brown. Oops!